Good morning. Welcome to Eating the Life of Tess. Today we're going to do a story time on my journey of working with AIDS for 18 months. I guess this is overdue. So let's go. This story time is a long one, hence it will be divided into 3 phases. We'll have the accident and pre-Nigerian law school phase, we'll have the Nigerian law school phase, and lastly we'll have the post-Nigerian law school phase and call to bar phase. So welcome to the accident and pre-law school phase. I graduated from university in 2023 and I had my convocation in December 2023. And yes, I graduated with a first class clock it. After the convocation ceremony, we got our certificates and I started going home with my parents. And we're supposed to travel because, my university was in another state from my state of residence. However, on the journey home, I fell asleep because convocation is stressful, so I fell asleep in the car. It was my friend's car where there was a driver, the driver was driving, and my friends were at the back. I was a passenger princess, so I was sitting in front, passenger seat. Like I mentioned earlier, I fell asleep, and from my sleep, all of a sudden, I heard people screaming. So I woke up, and I saw the car flying. I closed my eyes, and by the time I opened it, we were in a ditch. Rescuers were trying to get my parents out of the car, and the driver was trying to find his way out of the car. The airbag in his side came out and he was injured. His nose was bleeding. However, I was stuck. The rescuers managed to get my parents and the driver out of the car, and I was just there. I was not able to come out of the car. I was stuck. Mind you, this entire time, the bonnet of the car was emitting smoke, so everybody was scared that the car was going to blow up. But I was stuck. I couldn't come out. The passenger seat door wasn't opening. The rescuers were bus drivers that were driving and were traveling interstate, so they got axes, they got cutlasses, and they tried to use those things to cut the door open. Eventually, they were able to do that, and when they eventually opened the door, they saw that the reason I was stuck was because the dashboard was on my thigh, on my left thigh. That's why I was stuck. So one of them, like 3 FT men, two of them actually lifted up the dashboard, and they got 2 other persons to move the seat I was on, the passenger seat, a little bit to the back. So that's how they were able to get me out of the car. And by the time they got me out of the car, we saw my leg dangling. Apparently, my femur was broken. And of course, immediately I saw it, I screamed. I screamed. I was terrified. I was scared. I screamed, and the rescuers eventually dropped me by the roadside because the car ended up in a ditch. They dropped me by the roadside. They got all of our things out of the car, my certificate, all of our valuables, got it out of the car, and they arranged for a car to take us to an hospital. The accident happened somewhere in Ocean State. The rescuers arranged for a car to take us to a public hospital. Mind you, the entire time while they were getting our things out of the car, I was by the roadside, and by that time my mom had calmed down because when I was stuck in the car, she was very agitated, and it was then that she realized that she couldn't breathe well, and that's when I began to get scared, like really, really terrified. I didn't even mind about my leg, but she was saying she could not breathe. So I rented the car and we were transported to an hospital somewhere in Ocean State. Myself, my mom, and the driver were transported to the hospital in the same vehicle because, like I said earlier, my mom was complaining that she couldn't breathe, so she needed to get to the hospital as soon as possible. And my dad stayed back to gather our things, gather all of our valuables that were in the car. So he stayed back and he was transported to the hospital later. So we went ahead. On getting to the hospital, my mom was immediately rushed in, They attended to her wounds. She had a lot of cuts on her legs because literally the car floor where she was sitting plummeted. That's the word. According to her, she could see the ground from where she was seated in the car before the car eventually stopped. And mind you, it was only her and the driver that were awake and saw the whole thing happen. My dad and I, we fell asleep. So we got to the hospital. She was attended to, and the driver was screaming. Apparently, was in so much pain. They had to take him in as well. I was the last to be taken in. Mind you, there was no bed in this hospital. They took us in. We're on this, is it a stroller or what's it called? We were on it and we were literally outside because the hospital was filled. And my dad later came, he joined us, and by that time, I already had all of our things. Mind you, the accident happened in the evening. So by the time we eventually rescued and got to the hospital, it was already dark out. And by the time I was attended to, it was already late. I'm talking 9 p.m. They took me in, immediately administered some injections. I know one of them was tetanus injection. They tied up the leg because they don't want the bone moving around, and by then they had discovered that one of my veins in my left leg had ruptured. So they immediately inserted a catheter into my bladder because it was obvious I wasn't moving around myself anytime soon. Mind you, my convocation was on a Saturday, so the accident happened on a Saturday. Immediately my daddy got to the hospital, we reached out to our people and they came to the hospital that middle of the night. They came and immediately they started arranging how to get us back home. My parents live in Ibadan, so they started arranging how to get us back to Ibadan. By that time, the public hospital in Osun State had stabilized my mom, stabilized the driver, and stabilized me as well. So on Sunday morning, our people just came from Ibadan. They came with an ambulance and we were ready to go back to Ibadan. My parents wanted an hospital where we could be rest assured that they would handle the casualties and everybody was going to be fine. Nothing about that journey back to Ibadan was funny. Let me remind you again, I was in mobile, the driver was in mobile as well, so we were both in the ambulance, strapped to a stretcher. And if you know that Ibadan to Osun State Road, it's not good. So every bump, we're literally screaming because we were in pain, and that much pain because it was terrible. We eventually got to Ibadan and somebody recommended an hospital for us. We went to the hospital. We immediately got admitted. My mom and I were in the same room. The driver and my dad were in the same room too, I guess. That was on a Sunday. By the time we got to the hospital in Ibadan, we were tired from the severity of what had happened and from traveling that long distance in our condition. So the hospital wanted us to rest, and on Monday they started the x-rays. My mom's x-ray revealed that there was water in her lungs, and that was why she was saying she couldn't breathe. And thank God they were able to handle that and treat her injuries better. My dad had 9 broken ribs. That man could not stand up, right? That man was lying down and it was difficult for him to get up, and he was doing breathing exercises because apparently there's no surgery for ribs. The driver, however, had dislocated hips. Basically, his hip was dislocated, and I, on the other hand, as earlier predicted, my femur was broken. I had the ruptured vein. And mind you, for these x-rays, they have to carry you from your room to the lab, and it was painful. I don't know how best to describe the pain, but it was intense. They scheduled an operation for the driver and we had the operation. Mind you, my operation was 5 hours. It took that long because of the severity of how broken my bones were and the vein that had ruptured. The driver also had his
I
operation
thought I told you to
that
say
same day,
something.
and my mom was scheduled to see a specialist. There was a pipe
I
that
don't
was
know.
inserted from her side into her lungs to pump out the water that was in her lungs, and she was fine. Now to the healing process. Because of the ruptured bone, I had bled into my leg, so I had lost so much blood. Hence, before the operation, during the operation, and afterwards, I was having blood transfusion because I became pale and I had a total of 9 pints of blood. However, getting to the last pint of blood, which was like the 9th one, I had a fever reaction, and it was basically a crisis because they were injecting me with all sorts just to try to stabilize me. And eventually, when I was stabilized and the blood transfusion was done, my parents were eventually allowed to go home because we were having a lot of visitors in the hospital, and it was just I and the driver, so we started physio. If you ask me, physiotherapy is the most painful thing in this world. The pain is out of this world. I don't even know how to communicate it. Physio is basically learning how to walk all over again, and if you ask me, there's nothing funny about that. It is painful. And my first day of physio, I could only stand. Like, I was standing on my right leg, the leg that was unaffected, and I was crying so much because I was in so much pain, and the affected leg was heavy, and there was just so much going on. I could only stand, and That was all I could do for the first day of physio. It got better gradually, and within a week, I was able to move around with a walker. A walker because I couldn't use crutches for a couple of reasons. One, because of the severity of my situation, and two, because of my height. When the hospital was certain that I'm able to move around as much as I need to and as little as my condition would allow me, they discharged me. I was discharged on the 23rd of December because I wanted to go home for Christmas. I was determined not to spend Christmas in the hospital because, mind you, my parents were already at home. So I took physiotherapy very seriously. Mind you, from the day the accident happened, I was doing bed baths. I could not have my bath myself, so I was having bed baths. And bed bath is basically somebody mopping your body with soap and water. That's just that's just what it is. So I was having bed baths, and when I was discharged, that continued at home. So basically, my mom that was injured as well was taking care of me. My siblings were around as well; they were helping, and basically my parents that were injured as well were taking care of me. Meanwhile, in the middle of all of this, law school decided to release posting. Law school posted me to the Port Harcourt campus. However, there was no way I was going to the Port Harcourt campus in my condition. Like I said earlier, my friends stay in Ibadan. Earlier, when I was applying for law school, I wanted Port Harcourt campus, and I actually wanted to resume law school in my condition. So I had to start looking for a way to get reposted to a closer campus, and the closest campus to me then was Lagos campus. However, we didn't know anybody, so my parents decided I should call the pro-chancellor of the university that I attended. We called him, and it was really, really, really helpful. He went to Abuja 3 times to ensure that my reposting was secured and that it was done. And after 2 weeks, when the reposting wasn't reflecting on my portal, he told me to just go and resume. And I went to Lagos campus and resumed. I was allowed to stay on campus because I had paid my school fees, but I could not do registration. So I had to wait, I think, 3 weeks until the reposting reflected on the portal for me to do registration. And that is the end of my story time, the accident and pre-law school phase. Thank you for watching. Bye.